Welcome back to Amplifying Our Voices. I'm your host, Patty Hayak. Thank you so much for being here today. In today's episode, I'm sitting down with Miguel Montañez. Miguel opens up about the roots that shaped him, the role of family and community, and his journey with alcohol. He shares what recovery has taught him and how it brought him back to the truest version of himself. This conversation is honest, tender, and full of wisdom. With that, let's dive in. Hello, Miguel. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I am so happy to have you here. Your story is very inspiring to me, and I can't wait for others to hear about your story.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, I like to start off with, where does your story begin?
My story begins in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. That's where I was born originally. My father was a lawyer. My mother was a teacher, but she left teaching to become a stay-at-home mom for me and my older brother, and eventually my younger sister when she was born. And we had a pretty good upbringing ourselves. It was a very lively childhood. We made the journey from Puerto Rico to New York, and then from New York, I kind of established myself, finished high school, and New York kind of became more of a home because I feel that was where my formative years were based off. But then eventually, I came here around the time I was 20 and visiting, but then I figured I'd stay here. There was a lot of opportunities, especially as for somebody who speaks English and Spanish.
Now, when you think about your childhood, what are the moments or experiences that shape who you are, or ones that stand out the most?
For me, it's always been my culture. I'm Puerto Rican, and it's one thing that in the island they're very proud of. You go to many places, and then they always have portraits of people doing La Bomba y Plena, or when Columbus landed and the Taino Indians were looking. There's a lot of things. So our music, our food, our atmosphere, the culture has always been the thing that always stands out. And I think, especially when moving from Puerto Rico to New York, you value it even more so to say. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I did not like eating beans. All of a sudden, I moved to New York and I love rice and beans. Like all of a sudden, you kind of appreciate the culture a lot more. And in New York, too, people know their culture. So it's something that we're very proud of. So no matter what, where we are, we never forget that part of us. It's like part of our identity. We have our
Mhm.
individual identity of who we are as a person, but being Puerto Rican is part of you being that person. And that's always the thing that stood out. It's always the thing that I try to pass on to my nephews and nieces, remind them, "Oh, yes, we live here. Yes, we have, but our roots are deeper than just what has been established here."
Oh, I love that so much. I visited New York for the first time, New York City. I think it was last year. I can't remember.
I saw that. You took a video with you in the background, my favorite French lady.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
And I was blown away. I mean, I knew I was going to like New York City, but just something about being there, about it's like it's its own unique culture, the melting pot of all the different, ethnicities and the different cuisines. Anything you want, you can find it there. And I think it's a great visual of how diverse even the Latinos are within the Latino population. So when you're
Yes.
talking about arroz and frijoles,
Mhm.
right? That's something that's very big in my Mexican culture.
Exactly.
I love that you mentioned a little bit about that. So thank you.
No problem.
Okay. How would you say that your upbringing influenced the way you saw yourself whether as a man, a partner, or a friend?
I had a lot of male role models. My abuelo Roberto is one of them. And I did have a lot of specifically female role models, like with my mom and my abuelita, both my abuelitas, my tias, and everything. Growing up that way, I was always taught to be respectful, to be proud of who I am, but always to be respectful and be courteous. One of the reasons why I like to go to New York at least 2, 3 times a year, even if it's just to walk the neighborhood, because it's just a reminder of that upbringing. It's a reminder of how far I've come. My parents weren't perfect, but they did the best with what they had. And sometimes when my father might be feeling like, man, I wish I just say, no, you did good. You did good. I was raised right. And for me, again, that is what has made me the person that I am today. My family is very important, but so are my friends. My friends are part of
Mhm.
my family.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like right now, I'm not in a relationship, and I always say I'm okay with that because I have a family and a great group of friends. So I don't feel alone. I don't feel that need to kind of be validated because I already have such a great group around me of people that I love, admire, and respect.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's the importance of having your tribe or your
Mhm.
family. And family doesn't have to be blood, right?
Exactly.
So thank you for that reminder. What messages did you receive growing up about emotions or coping or asking for help?
Don't be too proud to ask for help. Don't hide away from your feelings. If you feel a certain way, acknowledge how you're feeling and know that your feelings are validated. There is, especially being a boy, a lot of pressure to be a man. Don't show your
Mhm.
feelings, so you kind of have
Mhm.
to hide it. And I think that's why I it made it easy for me with the women who raised me. Because of that, I always felt, and I still to this day do feel a little bit more comfort when I'm around women as to being open and sharing myself because I don't have to feel like all macho and stuff like that. Now with my male friends, I'm fine, and I've gotten to a point where it's like, this is who I am. If you have a problem, then too bad, you deal with it. But growing up, it was different. There was a lot of pressure to kind of maintain that image of a Latino male, how you're supposed to be. But I'm very thankful for the women in my life. It's been a good way for me to be able to acknowledge my feelings. That's how I've been able to deal with the tough things in life, whether it's the loss of a friend, whether it be their life, or just you decide that you have to part ways, especially within the last year where I decided to start this journey where I've kind of had to acknowledge that the person I'm right now, it's kind of like reverting back to that person I was then. So acknowledging that maybe there are certain relationships that are probably not the best ones for me to be in at the moment as I move forward. Acknowledging that, accepting that, and handling it allows me to go on a day-to-day basis and move on. And it's not like it doesn't affect me. It does hurt, but you know it's for the best, and you just have to remind yourself that every move you make and every little choice that you make is for the best.
You mentioned so many things there that I can resonate. I obviously love being Latina, but there are
Mhm.
some things in our culture, right, that we grow up with, and like the
Yep.
whole like los hombres no lloran,
Los
boys
hombres no
don't
lloran.
cry,
Mhm.
right? That
Yep.
machista attitude, and I just like seeing that, in our culture, and it's things that we have to unlearn. And so
Yes.
when you say that you've gone through this transformation, like I do believe that healing is
Yes.
also bringing you back to yourself, like before the world got to you. And
Ex
now you have been very open about your journey with alcohol. So I do
Mhm.
want to talk a little bit about that. When did alcohol first enter your life, and what role did it play for you in the beginning?
I remember one time as a kid, I was at a softball game with my dad, and my dad let me try his Cuba Libre. I tried it, and I did not like it, and I spat it out. It looked like Coke, but it wasn't Coke. Then at a quinceañera when I was 14, I can't remember how many beers I drank, but I drank. But it wasn't like I made it a habit after that. It was then, and I probably didn't have another drink for years. I think alcohol really started to play a role when I turned 21, and by that time I was living here in Minnesota, and I saw the environment I was around. Everyone was always talking about going out for a drink or drinking in the weekend. So it was almost like it's a part of not society, but like the social convention. I joined up with it. I'm like, all right, I'll say this. When I turned 21, I didn't have the traditional let's have them do shots. I had only one beer on my 21st birthday, and I thought that was good. But then little by little, I started having one, two, and eventually three, four, five. And you could say, okay, well, I don't drink all every day. But when I look at it back now with how much I would drink in an evening, I might as well just drank that whole week because it was kind of like making up for lost time. For me, that's really when it started. It didn't start like so fast right away, but just little by little, and as time and years progressed, it became more where if I was out, I had to have a drink because it just felt weird not having a drink.
Now, was there a moment or something where drinking shifted from being social to something deeper or heavier?
I went through a breakup and I was the one who broke it off, but then I was starting to feel bad for how I left it and for hurting the other person. And at night, those feelings would come out. So I started literally drinking to medicate, numb yourself up, fall asleep, because that was the only way. It was a very dark period in my life. And the thing you have to know is that when you drink alcohol, no one can really see it. Even though I was very good at other people not seeing something, no matter how good I got, I was never good at fooling myself. Like I knew that this wasn't the way to deal with things.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, when my sister went through, and our entire family went through, uh, a very big loss where it was when she first got pregnant, but found out that the baby wasn't going to be able to make it to term and she still carried it to term. That was when I remember I went out one night and I drank, got in my car, got home. I still don't have a clue how I got home. The fact that I got home one piece, no accident, nothing. Thank the Lord for always being there with me, even in my darkest of times and pulling me out of it. But that was the first time when I said, okay, I need to stop drinking, or at least I need to do something. And at that point, I started seeing therapists, psychologists, and really working on the problems. But eventually, we got to the root of the issue that was causing me to fall into that. And then that's when I started dealing with these things. I wasn't using alcohol anymore as a way to suppress certain things, but it was still there. Once I got to like my 40s, that's when my body really was the one that was speaking to me, saying, "You gotta stop because I'm not liking this stuff anymore." Eventually, that voice keeps getting louder and louder. And then I just finally got to the point where my body got too loud and I just had to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm definitely glad I did. I won't deny that.
Thank you for sharing. What was the hardest part of choosing recovery?
I went for my physical last May and I have shared that one picture of the side by side from May and December. That's literally the picture that I took the day of my physical. We were going through things, did blood work and all this stuff. And based on my weight then, she was saying I was overweight. And most of my life, I was at flaco. I'm like, me overweight? How did that ever happen? A few years earlier, I was diagnosed with severe obstructive sleep apnea. So I have to sleep with the mask. She said that there was a couple of weight management drugs that had just been approved by the FDA to treat, not cure, but treat sleep apnea. So I was like, sure, I'll try it. At that point, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start taking it. But then one of my friends had told me that they had been had taken it before, and because they were still drinking, they developed pancreatitis, and that has scared me. So I researched the drug and I saw the side effects. And yes, it could make things worse. I asked my doctor and she said, you can still drink, just don't drink as much. So I made the choice that when I got the drug, I was not going to drink, thinking I might not be taking the drug for the long time. So it's just until I'm done with the drug. That mentally prepared me, that also in my body physically prepared me to not drink for a good period. What I
Mm.
did not expect was how I would feel once I stopped drinking. And I think that's when, in order for me to channel that, that's when I was like, okay, how do I go back to a point where I don't remember drinking? And then I remembered being more active and I remember doing sports. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not in shape. Let's start getting into shape. And that's when I started doing my power walks and I made sure that it was daily every morning. I mean, right now, I would say that I have been doing them now for about 333 days straight. And essentially, because of that, okay, get back into that mindset. That's when all of a sudden I just started not needing it. I realized at that point, some people, it's a chemical, physical dependency. All of a sudden, for me, it wasn't chemical anymore. Like my body had no need for it, no craving for it. The fact that all of a sudden I'm like, holy, I have to this day now, I have no urge to have a drink. I can be out and I can see it, and I have no urge for needing it, and I don't miss it. For me, that certainly helps set me on that path,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of getting into that mindset.
Right. That's amazing. Um, who or what became your support system during that time?
Well, my family, of course, my support. My friend John, he lives in New York. He's been my best friend for over 30 years. He's practically like my brother, Like I was just in New York and honestly, most of the time he works from home. I just went to his home and hung out with him. He's my biggest support. We support each other. He's a heart transplant survivor twice already. So we've always been there for each other. He's always been my biggest supporter. And then some of the friends that I drank with, I told them this, and they've also been very supportive. And I've still go out with them, not as much, but I still go out with them, and they're very supportive. No pressure. I can be with them while they're drinking, and they know that I don't, and they're fine. They don't judge. I love that. And my coworkers have also been very supportive. My boss has been, he was probably the biggest push when because I was like, "Yeah, I just want to make sure that you're doing well and everything's." And as time has passed and I've shared that with others, others have been able to open up themselves about their own journey. Like there's friends of mine that I stopped speaking to, possibly maybe because they made the same choice, feeling that not speaking with me was probably better for them because they were on a different path.
Hmm.
And when I said, "Hey, this is a path," now they've reached out and like, "Hey, I haven't been drinking for like 2 years now. Hey, let's get together. Let's get a cup of coffee. Let's get a bite to eat." And I've been able to rekindle, like I've been able to get those friendships back, but on a different level than they were when they originated. Because yeah, we drank and everything, but there were other things that we did that wasn't just drinking that now we're able to get back to.
That's awesome. And that's called growth. People change. And I always preach that we're meant to evolve, we're meant to change. So I love that you were able to reconnect. What surprised you about sobriety?
How much I love it, how great I feel, the energy that I have now that I'm 48, but yet feel like I'm 18 again. All of this energy that a year ago maybe I didn't really have because I really wasn't doing much. But now all this energy I have and being able to pick a book up and finish reading it. I love reading, but there are times that I would read a book and then I would just, all right, I gotta meet somebody at the bar or somewhere. Now it's like I can go out somewhere and because I'm not there long, I come back home and all right, let me go back to finish that book or go pick my nephews and nieces out or spend time with my family. That's the biggest thing that surprised me that I have all of this energy that I can put elsewhere instead of in a bar stool for God
Hmm.
knows how long.
Hmm.
I'm no longer at that bar stool. Now I'm with my own 2 feet walking around somewhere. I worked at the Mall of America for the first 5 years when I moved from New York here. And when I left the mall, I stopped going to the mall lately. I found myself going back to the mall, not to shop or anything, but just to walk around. It's healthier for me to keep going like movement, but also myself being from New York, I love watching people, like
Hmm.
people watching scenery. It's fun. And then that's those things. It's like all of a sudden I'm going back and it's like, wow, those things that I haven't done since like mid 90s, all of a sudden I'm kind of doing again. The one thing I feel that sobriety did, and that's to answer your question more for a more direct response, is that person that came here from New York for a while had been dormant.
Mm.
And like you said, the world happened, and all of a sudden I was exposed to the world, and I felt like I had to kind of fit or go with the world. But the whole time that person was dormant. They never left. They was always there. And I think with sobriety, I've been able to open the door for that person to come back out and reclaim the vessel, essentially. And now it's like I'm at the mercy of that person and I love it because I really miss that person. And because that person is me. It's that person how we establish who I am. And that person now is getting control. And it's a good thing to know that person didn't die. They just were away. That's why I feel like I have this energy because it's still in there. And now it's just coming out.
I love that so much. It's like a rebirth or you're alive again. And I
Yes,
love it. I love to see it for you. So thank you for sharing that.
no problem.
What have you learned about emotional regulation or connection or presence through recovery?
The decisions that you make or just the choices that you do, how they really have an impact, not just with you, but with others around you. From 2023, 2024, I was in a relationship that for a moment there I thought was okay, this is gonna be the it relationship. It wasn't the best. We tried making things work, we talked, we even went to like counseling, tried to do certain things, but it didn't work. As the relationship ended, I still had not started my journey to recovery. It wasn't until once I started the journey to recovery that I started looking at myself or at least seeing things different, where even I went and I said, how did I get into that relationship? That person and I were so different. How did that even happen? And of course, the left side of my brain goes, well, you were really drunk when you met her, dude. And I think that's the thing about being in recovery and with the choices, and you're more self-aware of what's going on around you, and you're more self-aware of who you are, and you're not afraid to be who you are and say, especially when you get to be our age, we're not kids anymore. I know I'm not perfect, but I am a good guy, and I come from a good family. My family is proud of me, and I every day when I wake up, I make sure that I make them proud. That's again why I like going back to the neighborhood, because I it's like I go back and it's like here I am, the place that made me. Are you proud of me? And I know that my neighborhood is proud of me, and I know my friends are all proud of me. And, and it's not I'm seeking validation. No, because I'm proud of
Mhm.
who I am. And that's the thing. It's just an acknowledgement of the things and the people who were there as part of the journey. And
Mhm.
that's why I always let my friends know I don't take you for granted. I value your friendship because you are part of this journey and you have been a part of the journey. Even if for a moment you were a big part, even if it's for a small moment, a big part of a bigger story.
Right, absolutely. Those are the best friends, the ones that stick with you through your journey, the ones that, knew the old Miguel and are accepting of the new Miguel.
Mhm.
Those are the people that you want to keep in your
Exactly.
life. So you are truly blessed to have those types of people. Now, are there any parts of your life that opened up, or maybe any opportunities that opened up once alcohol was no longer present?
I am seeking opportunities. I've been in my job for quite some time and I would love to move to a different position within the company. But because of that, have had other people reach out to me saying, "Hey, you know what? You would be perfect for this role." And surprisingly, a lot of those people I did meet well when I was drinking, but I've maintained those contacts. And now they're seeing a different person that they feel, hey, this person I think could be trusted for this. And yes, so it has helped, especially now as I inch closer to 50. I'm like, is this what I want to do when I grow up? Or what do I want to do? Or what do I want? But I feel like because of where I'm at right now, not just physically, but mentally, it's just something else that I can do. I'm very tech savvy. I keep up with what's going on. So I know that I can adapt to my environment. I mean, Puerto Rican living in Minnesota for so long. How did that happen? You adapt to your environment. And because of that journey of recovery and being sober again, I feel that now all of these opportunities that maybe I didn't take advantage of then are still there and I can definitely take advantage of them.
That's awesome. Now, what are you most proud of in your journey?
When I started the journey, someone had said that there was possibly no way that I would be able to get to like 170. And I honestly didn't think so too. I'm like, I'm not I'm not 20 years old. That ain't gonna happen. And when I got to like 181, I went to my doctor and she said, "Well, what's your goal? Now that we're here, what's your goal?" And I said 175 because I did not think that I could even get there. I was already happy with being at 181. And then eventually I got on the scale one day and it said that I was at 170. And I just went like, wow. The last time I was at 170 was when I was 22 years old. That was the moment where I was like, wow, I did it. I did it. I actually got there. and I didn't think I could. The biggest accomplishment was getting there and staying there because
Mhm.
I've been able to seesaw between 171 here and there, especially now that I'm lifting weights again. So a lot of it's muscle growth, which is good, but still I'm within that range. And the fact that I've been able to maintain it, it's for me the biggest accomplishment because despite all of the pain and let's say abuse, but treatment of my body that I've put on it over the years, that my body has still been very resilient to be able to pull off. The thing I did the last day before I left New York is the thing I do every single time I go there. I go to where I live, I put on a playlist I made from back in 1994, and I walk to school to see if I can still walk the same distance at same speed. And every year I beat it by just a few milliseconds. And the fact that again, instead of slowing down, I'm just getting better.
Yes, that is beautiful. I love that. I've seen the transformation. So for me, it's very inspiring. And when I see the images too, when you compare them, it's like two completely different people. And it's like you've aged backwards. It's just, it's like Benjamin Button. It's
Uh-huh.
insane. So when you say these things, you're absolutely right. Like I believe that you're going to even probably beat that time of when you were a kid, right?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, that's why it's for me, it's very special and it's something that I really value. Talking to my dad the other day, he's like, "You're like a teenager with a the Puerto Rican accent. Tú eres el teenager." And, it's good because again, for me, it's being in a place of peace, like Zen, like I'm happy. Like when the best version of myself is the person I am right now. And I think now for those people who are still with me, and especially those that have known me for a long time, that have seen me go through the hardships, seeing me back, great, we have him back. And then the others are like, great, we have this guy now, this guy's a lot better. And I feel that that's and I'm thankful to God every day. Everything that I do, everything that I've done, he's made it possible. Everything through the grace of God. Carlos Ortiz would kill me if I don't say that. Toda la gloria hacia él. So, all the glory goes to God.
You mentioned a little bit about peace. So what does peace look like for you now?
For me, it's just being happy with myself, being okay with who I am. I don't need to go out that much anymore. I still like to, when the opportunity presents itself, to go dancing. I actually have a Zumba video game that I do here and there. So whenever I see you doing the Zumba, I'm like, hey, she's doing what I do in my living room. So I still like to do those things, but it's more of the being comfortable. I'm back to I'm being a homebody now. I'll be at home, I'll get home, I'll turn on my TV, I'll put some music on, or I'll play a video game or read a book, shuffle around the deck of cards and stuff like that. Anything. So for me, it's just that level of peace. And when others are like, "Hey, let's go out and do this and let's go out and do that," I'm like, "No, I'm good. You guys go ahead and have fun. I'm fine with where I'm at. I'm happy with the choices I'm making. I'm happy with just being a homebody. If I'm alone, I'm okay with it, and I'm at peace with that. I accept that. If that is God's intention for me, then I say, thank you, Lord, for what you've given me. And I'm happy with that. And I think sometimes people might have their peace, whether it's themselves or with someone, but they're not sure about it. And I am very sure of my peace. If I do meet someone and we are able to have something like this where we're comfortable, homebodies are still going out and doing whichever, that is fine too. But for now, where I'm at, I am at peace with that and I have no regrets. And like I said, I am happy because of
Mhm.
that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I preach all the time. I say happiness is not dependent on your job, how much money you make, your relationship status, or whether you're a mom or not. Like, no,
Mhm.
my happiness comes from the joy that I get doing the things that I love, whether
Exactly.
that's kayaking, going biking, dancing, whatever. Like, I'm gonna be happy no matter how much money I'm making. Thank you for shining a light on that. Uh, what do you want people to understand about addiction that they might get wrong?
I lost my cousin Robertito back in 2019, who struggled with addiction for such a long time. My cousin Tony, when I was young, also passed away with complications of the HIV virus that he contracted because he was an addict. I have seen what drugs and alcohol have done in my family. It is a genetic thing. I'm not going to deny that. It is a disease. I won't deny that at a moment there, I thought maybe I was powerless against it. And the thing is that I refuse to believe that I was powerless. And I fought and I fought. And it wasn't because I did not want to admit that I had a problem or anything. No, it's just I didn't want to admit that I had given up control. So that's when I went to therapy to see if I could regain that control. And maybe I did, but in a sense, if I'm being honest with myself, no, I didn't gain control because I was still drinking. We all have our habits. Some people quit drinking, but then they pick up something else like smoking or they overeat. There's always something that happens. Finding that balance where you're not really depending on chemicals and how to do it. So for me, the biggest thing is once I quit drinking, what habit did I pick up again? Coffee. And now all of a sudden I'm back to drinking coffee like 2 cups daily, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So then even I go, okay, I gotta stop that too. You don't have to do drugs or even alcohol to be an addict. Just any little thing that you do. Like if you have mints and you suck on 5 mints daily, that right there in a way is an addiction. One can say it's a habit, but it's kind of like an addiction because then all of a sudden if you're like, oh my God, I haven't had my fifth, it can get like that. So it's acknowledging that yes, that can happen. Once you acknowledge that, then you become more cognizant of it. So yes, you can at least keep it at bay. And I think that's what people can at least try to do. And we're all humans. We will fall. The whole point is when you fall, do you get back up? And more importantly, when you get back up, how higher are you going to go? Are you going to go back to the same length and fall down, or are you going to go higher than you did before?
Thank you. What would you say to someone who feels stuck in the cycle that you once lived in?
You can beat it. You can get yourself out of it. You just have to want it. You have to want it. Somebody told me not too long ago that they wanted to do it for their son. And that's great. But you got to do it for you because if you're only doing it for your son, and God forbid something happens to your son, now you lost your reason, or your son doesn't talk to you anymore. Now you've lost your reason. What's going to happen then? You're probably going to fall back to that pattern. You have to do it for you. You have to want to do it. It became apparent that I was really doing this and it was about me. It wasn't about the future Mrs. Miguel or the future job opportunity. It was about me at that moment. You have to think about the second. People have a 5-year plan. That's great. But what if something that you are not planning happens within the 5 years? You really have to think in the moment. I've been able to be very resilient as to where I go because if something happens, it's a hurdle. I'm not afraid to climb over it. And I think that's what I would say. You just have to climb because there are going to be hurdles. You just have to focus on what you're doing at that moment. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about 2 weeks from now. Just think about that moment and how you're going to get through that moment.
That's great advice. What does your next chapter look like? What chapter are you writing now?
Well, the chapter that I'm writing now is like you said, the rebirth. That's where I'm at. I'm at the rebirth. So do I stay in Minnesota? Do I move back to New York? Or do I move somewhere else? Where is the next step for Miguel Angel Montañez? What is it? Because I feel that there's so much that I haven't done yet. And that sometimes people say we have all the time in the world. We really don't. Whatever time I have available, I'm just gonna capitalize on it and do the things that I know I can do. It could be the chapter of me settling down. It could just me be the chapter of moving on to another city, another state, or possibly even another country. You never know. There's so many things that people are afraid of doing because you do reach a comfort level. And I think at this point, I am no longer afraid of the things that were holding me back. I wouldn't deny that one of the things that keeps people from quitting drinking is the thought of the friends they are going to lose. And that's a big thing. And it's not something that it's not stupid, it's not dumb, because you do make these friendships and you all of a sudden surround yourself, and now you're scared because yeah, it does change things. But for me, I took that risk and I said, I'm fine with it because I might be closing a door, but I know another one's opening up. And then the case is, once you see that door opening up, go through it and see what it has. And you know what? I've gone through it and I'm like it that I didn't even look back to say goodbye. I just closed the door and kept going. I was like, no point, no looking back, only forward.
It's amazing. We can end it on this. What do you hope someone gets from hearing your story?
To know that they're not alone. I've heard other stories and those stories stuck with me because they were feeling the way I'm feeling. And if you're afraid of being the guy because you like video games or because you like to go to the movies or you get excited about the next Pokemon game coming out and you want to do, don't, you're not alone. There's a group, there's a lot of people who are like you that when you actually meet them and you get to talk to them, you're gonna feel like you've known that person for a long time. And it's also the same with people who are in recovery that are struggling, but are finding ways, things to do now that they're no longer there. And it's a good support system. The people that have now reached out to me because they've been in recovery for a while that I haven't talked to, and now we're kind of reconnecting again, it's worth it because it really shows you who your real friends are and who the people who really value you are. So if you feel like you're not being valued or that no one cares, believe me, people do care and they're there and they're never not going to be there. They will always be there for you. So just know. And in the end, you just have to do it for yourself and believe in who you are and believe in the power that you have for yourself to make things happen for yourself. And that's all I got to say on that.
Can't wait for your book to come out, Miguel. I hope you write a book one day.
The Book of
Um,
Chupacabra, that will be a bestseller in the New York Times.
no, but seriously, thank you very much for spending a little bit of your time today to talk about your story. Thank you for being so open and honest about your journey. I am extremely proud of you. I've seen the before and the after, and you are literally glowing. I can see the life back in you, and it's beautiful to see. And I know there are many others that are so proud of you, and you should be
Thank
very
you
proud.
very much, my friend. I really appreciate you as well.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, follow, and share this with someone who might need it. Stay tuned for the next one.